Hey friends, welcome to the Purple Zone, where public policy, practice, and people meet. Because policy isn't abstract, it's personal. So let's talk about it. Hey friends, welcome to the show. It's Alexis, and I am here with Stehvn Tesar. Did I say it right?
You did.
Oh my gosh.
Nailed it.
I've been working really hard on that. And so Stehvn, you are the assistant superintendent. No, I get this wrong every time. You are the principal at the alternative high school in the Mountain Home School District. I got that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yeah, I'm the principal of Bennett High School in Mountain Home School District. Yep.
Okay, awesome. And so today you're here to talk about the community school that you guys are and what you guys are doing in your area and how I think that's really cool. And I wanted to share it with people. And I wanted to learn from you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here and kind of showcase what's going on in the Mountain Home School District in Bent Mountain. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, happy to have you here. So I actually got connected with you because your school district is a community school. And will you share what a community school is so we can all kind of get on the same page?
Yeah, you bet. Community school is a neighborhood school that a public school that partners with the local community. And, kind of the goal is to create a good environment, foster environment that where all students and families can strive. Community schools take more of a holistic approach towards the student. We understand that academic success is just, one piece of the puzzle. So we got to understand what makes our students tick and their families. And so we look at their emotional well-being, physical well-being, mental health, our basic needs being met. And so what community schools do, it's not just a place for someone just to attend class. They become hubs for students and families to access resources, just to kind of help support them and be more successful in school.
Yeah. So, and you guys were having a big community event, and I got invited down from the Boise area to go to Mountain Home. And I thought, geez, I've never really been into Mountain Home before. I want to see what's going on down there. So it was really cool. It was on Cinco de Mayo. I remember the tacos were fantastic. Loved the food. The decor was super great. You guys had community, like dancers come in from the community. What was that dance group that came in?
Oh, you're going to put me on the
sorry.
spot. So, just the dance group is just kind of Elmore County. A lot of students within our schools, obviously Hispanic group that does wonderful dancing. They like to come out and do community events for us. And yeah, it was Cinco de Mayo. It made sense, right? Fit the theme. So they came out, and we're glad they did. So
yeah. I love the costumes and the dancing. I mean, it's just so wonderful. I love that stuff. I grew up dancing, so I'm partial to that type of performance. But those kids did great. I loved it. Yeah. Really added to the whole experience. So we're sitting there as community members. Well, you've invited some people, in, and then you've got your community members there, and you then you and your team start talking about how the Mountain Home School District is using this community school strategy to do what you said, which is partner with your community to, meet the needs of the students and the families in your school district. So one thing that I kind of wanted to highlight here was that kind of the overall question for me is, how is the community school strategy shaping the community experience within your local school district? And so what I would love for you to do is to kind of share why you integrated the community school strategy. I mean, I know I've talked on the show before, there was a federal grant that came in. So a lot of schools were able to use that grant money to get the strategy kind of up and going a little bit more in their school. But before you integrated those funds, you were already doing something within the school district, which I thought was really great.
Yeah. So I became principal of Bennett High School in 2013. I was tasked with opening the school. We started off mid-year in January. So I had about 30 kids. I had 2 staff members, and that was it. And, over the years, we got to grow it, and just kind of basing things off of our students and the needs. We understood that it wasn't just about focusing on academics, alternative school, at-risk students. And, one misconception is that, at-risk students are bad kids. It's just at risk of not graduating high school. But our students required a lot more support. And it's almost like we all became counselors in a way too. So we just kind of evolved. We didn't know what a community school was. It was just, how do we best support our students? And little things like, we started out, we had a high teen pregnancy rate in Mountain Home. So we started off with a daycare, childcare. And then as we grew, that was being used. Next thing you know, we opened a food pantry. Again, everything was based off of our students alone. And again, we just didn't realize we were forming into a community school until, the last couple of years, United Way reached out to us of the Treasure Valley, and they wanted us to be part of their cohort in the community school cohort, which is the Idaho ICCS. And
that's the Idaho Coalition for Community Schools.
Correct. Yep. And so we became part of their 5-year cohort. I think they secured something like $46 million or something like that. There's like 4.5. Yeah,
it's about 46 million. Yeah. And it was a group, like that was a pretty big group effort.
Yep.
And the United Way is kind of the financial entity that houses that money.
Yep. And so again, we were already doing a lot of the stuff, but what it allowed us to do is expand within our school district, right? So it wasn't just Bennett Mountain becoming the community school. We also have in our district, we have West Elementary and Hacker Middle School that are part of it now. So it's the 3 schools in our district. And what this has done is it allows us to expand just at younger ages all the way up through high school, and then obviously strengthens our partnerships. And we're obviously able to reach more of the community this way as well. So, yeah.
So when I was there and I was listening to you guys and you were talking about, the priorities, which the ones that I saw specifically for Bennett High were family and community engagement, student belonging, food security, mental health support. Like those were the priorities. How did you, do you have a team that's deciding that? Like, how do you come up with those priorities?
Yeah, our team, again, I have a staff of about 12. There's 12 of us. So that's the advantages of working in a smaller school. Again, it's more family oriented. So we collaborate a lot together. The teachers see the students every single day. They have, better insight on what's going on. So we do almost everything as a staff, from the counselor to the admin assistant to childcare provider, the teachers, everyone that's involved. And we have a couple people at the school district office as well that are part of our team. But yeah, we've thrown out these needs assessments over the years, and those are the big things you mentioned already that we're paying a lot, and so I got to go back to one thing that we also introduced in our school district was that mental health piece. You said that always hits top, more need for mental health support. We do have school-based counseling. We partner with Desert Sage in our community, then they bring in clinicians, and so we do school-based counseling as well. So, but yeah, no, we have a team, just kind of our own staff, and then again, now we've obviously broadened that being part of the ICCS. And we do have a council where we have community members involved with all 3 schools now. So
what is that council? Like who sits on that council? What does that council do? Or do you call it a council, a leadership team?
Yeah, we do an advisory council. Mm-hmm. And that's part of being part of the cohort too, is that we have to do that. And then we meet quarterly. And, initially we just started throwing out names and people that would be impactful and have better knowledge that maybe we don't see in the community, that there's more needs that we need. But we have councilmen, we have business owners, we have parents, it's a diverse group. And again, we meet quarterly and make decisions and get input from them. So.
Mm-hmm. So would you describe that experience as, collaborative, like far more than just what's happening with the people in the school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of times we think we know what the community needs. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we bring these other people to the table and, they bring their expertise and knowledge, and we learn from them a lot on obviously other opportunities that we can bring into this whole community school network. And it's almost like every single meeting, there's something new that we learn, and it helps us kind of decide what direction we want to go to, again, support our students, families, and our greater community. So
what's something that you would say that you've learned as a council member of this advisory council from the community?
Yeah, kind of 2 things for me. there's actually a lot of grant opportunities out there. And just being part of the council, I've had a lot of networking with people that have, again, come to me with grant opportunities to help fund some of this stuff. And again, also new partnerships. There's a lot of great things going on in Mountain Home. And I think being part of this network, the big thing that has happened, now we can streamline it. We can all come together at the same table instead of, one school doing something over here and we're doing something over there. But it has allowed us to align things and, again, make it more sustainable too. So
that makes me think of this this thing that's sitting behind you.
This thing.
So, I mean, it's not an individual. It's not a person.
He's lurking.
So will you, because to me that fits in with what you're talking about with, the council and the streamlining and the sharing. What is that bear and how does it fit into what you're doing?
Yeah, that bear's name is Yoshi Asher Marshall. Yes. That's kind of our mental health student-led movement in Mountain Home. It's called the You're More movement. And so that's YAM, Yoshi Asher Marshall. It was actually students that named that. But what it was a mental health thing that started with a couple student athletes. And I actually was coaching girls basketball, had a player whose sister went down with a knee injury and actually went down with 2 ACL tears. And she was struggling mentally. And so she obviously saw a need for mental health support with athletes. And then all of a sudden it turned into something more than that. It started with a basketball team. And next thing you know, it started getting out to other teams. And then it turned into a community thing. So it's really cool. Again, it's student-led. And what it is just kind of a rally cry in Mountain Home. It's more of, mental health awareness. There's no science behind it on fixing mental health, but it takes an upstream approach to basically giving everyone self-worth, understand that you are more important than you realize. So you see these shirts everywhere in Mountain Home. Once a month, we have a You Are More Day district-wide, and even the community jumps on where everyone's wearing the You Are More stuff. But it's just been kind of ingrained in the last couple of years in our community that, again, you are more important than you realize. If we can just get that message out to people, it's just helpful. But again, the whole cool thing about this whole thing is that it's student-led. And and it's come a long way in just a couple years. So
that's so cool. And so is that like when we did the tour, so because that was like something that was really great that I loved about the whole experience back in May was that I didn't get to stay for the entire experience, but I got to do your tour of the alternative high school. And besides the fact that the building was so cool and I loved the wooden banisters, like I grew up in an elementary school that had wooden banisters like that. I just think it's so beautiful, those old buildings. And oh my gosh, being in your gym. And I don't know that I've ever seen a gym space that had like the upper balcony all the way across. Like those buildings like that are really cool.
Yeah, 1926. So over 100-year-old building. And yeah, it's like a scene off of the movie Hoosiers, right? You walk into that gym and it's cool. It's iconic. That whole building is a historical registered building. So
really?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
And what did it start as?
It was the original high school, 1926 of Mountain Home.
Okay.
And then as we grew, obviously in the 50s, they got a new high school, but this kind of served different purposes over the years. But again, it kind of sat vacant for a while. And then we as an alternative school adopted it, and we love that old building.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. It's so beautiful. So we walk, so we start this tour and we start in your podcast studio. Like we're sitting in my podcast studio, but your podcast studio is like, well, we're sitting in the ranch podcast studio, but I use it. Matt lets me use the studio, but your podcast studio was I'm going to use present tense. It's so beautiful. And when we walked in, there were all these t-shirts along the left, where I entered, the left side. Are those t-shirts the You Are More t-shirts?
Yeah. So, obviously getting into this You Are More movement, I was not expecting it to go this big. And next thing you know, people just want merch. They want to buy the shirts and things like that. And no way is this like a huge money grab or anything like that. We turn around and just continue to, sell $10 shirts. It probably costs $9 to make the shirt. And then we just turn around and buy more shirts. So yeah, we become kind of we always call ourselves like, everyone comes to us to shop and everything like that. So we have to have space to have all these shirts and everything like that. So yeah, it's crazy.
And like every year you have a new like look of shirt. Is that what it is?
We've been pretty basic, just kind of the same logo. We've partnered with some people like St. Luke's. We've partnered with some teams where we've maybe changed the look here and there a little bit, but it all just kind of shares that same message, right? So yeah, and actually in a week here, we're launching an online store. And so that's a good thing because then it offers more colors, more availability. It's just, there's so much to it that we're pretty basic on what we can cover. We get busy in the day, but
I mean, your job isn't to like make sure that people have t-shirts in the community.
Like merchandise, right?
Yeah.
So, no.
But I will say, I'm bummed you didn't bring me a t-shirt. Like I would have totally put my t-shirt on for the show and worn it around town.
I thought about it. I didn't know if I had given you one at the tour. And unfortunately I've been gone all month out of the state and I'm still on summer mode.
No,
I couldn't, I was going to, I should have brought you one. If you want to put his on, you're more than welcome to, but.
Oh my gosh. But then I wanted to talk about the podcast because that's another part of this community school piece. And why did you, talk about your podcast. Why did it start? Like, where did the idea come from? And why do you think it's been successful? And if so, like how?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought in a million years that I'd be hosting a podcast ever, and I'm still learning the ropes on this whole thing, but I was just sitting there. I grew up in Mountain Home, and I love the community. I did mention this in our showcase on Cinco de Mayo, but I think there's a lot of false narratives that are presented, and you see keyboard warriors saying false information online, everything like that. And then growing up in Mountain Home, it just seems like anytime the news is in Mountain Home, it's for something bad. And there's a lot of great things going on in Mountain Home. So just kind of one day when I was sitting there, I was like, how do I reach out and highlight all the good things that are going on within our school district, right? And so just kind of wild idea. It seems like these podcasts, people like these podcasts. And then how do we reach students, right? And a lot of them are on Instagram, right? So it's like, how can we create like engaging videos to where, little things. We talk about everything. We talk about, mental health. We talk about all the good things going on. But next, I had grant opportunities thrown at me to bolster that and grow it. And the cool thing is that a lot of it is just student-led. It's student ideas. And we have no agenda. Kids will start reaching out to me now, just being like, hey, Mr. Tesar, we should do this. Do you mind doing this? So this last year it grew and it's just going to grow even more. So yeah, it's been exciting though. And yeah, it's a good opportunity to highlight all the good things that are going on and just to spread kindness. I'm an upbeat person. I'm all about positivity. I hate negativity. I hate complaining. So I just want to, spread some kindness and highlight all the good things going on.
Well, tell people what the name of the show is and where they can find it.
It's the One Town, One Team podcast. That One Town, One Team it came from Mountain Home High School, and that's kind of our mantra, and our town adopted that as well. So we did start off with YouTube. We will post things on our YouTube video, but what we found was that students don't like YouTube so much, and especially they don't like longer podcasts. So what we do is we'll video, let's say like a 20-minute podcast, and more successful was that we would actually chunk it up by bits and like maybe 1 to 2 minute videos. And then we have an Instagram, and it seems like the students are more engaged in Instagram than they are YouTube. So we shifted that the last half of the year last year on going to Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah. So
yeah. And are you like, who's running the podcast?
A lot of it's me, but I do have students that are able to edit the videos and everything like that. We actually have a class in our school that kids can work with the podcast, and again, they're more creative than we are. And then going into this year, we're actually giving it. I want the students to host it more. I want them to get out into the schools more with like microphones and interview kids and things like that themselves. So yeah. Well, I mean, I know Matt was just here and he was like showing you all of his gear about like travel stuff. So you should definitely tap into that.
Definitely. Tap into that. He can totally help you out. So that's really, I mean, like what class then did you create a class then based on student interest, and like what's the class that
So
kids are taking?
a lot of we'll go back to the community school grant. A lot of it too is after school opportunities. So we do after school clubs where it's not really just a class. It's mostly like kids on their own time being able to edit after school and help us out that way. So
That's way cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so because one of the things I used to live in Lewiston, and I am a former school board member from the Lewiston School District, and
God's country, I hear, L-Town.
it's beautiful.
That's what all my fraternity brothers used to call Lewiston. The Lewiston, they called it God's country all the time.
Oh, really?
L-Town, yeah.
That's so funny. I've never heard that before. Because did you go to the University of Idaho?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Where else would I go?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget at a back to school event, like with all the staff, the assistant superintendent, they have like a big, back to school thing, and then they welcome all of the new staff, and he will say like where they're from, who they are, and what they're going to be doing, in the district. And so here I am, a new board member. I've lived in the community for a year. Yeah, I lived in the community for a year, and then I got on the board. And so I'm sitting there, and he's, just like, oh, Angela somewhere, she attended Boise State University, and she's going to be teaching second grade at, like Webster Elementary or something like that. And then you get to, if it was like, I don't know, Alexis Morgan from the University of Idaho. Like, I mean,
Yes.
Every single time. And I thought, what is going on here? Like, what is happening? And I learned it's like a whole big thing.
Yeah.
Is that just like a Lewiston thing that they made it a big thing, or is that like a big thing?
It's the best university in the state, so you got to say the University of Idaho. I mean, I get it, I understand it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
It's
so
like the
funny.
Ohio State University, right, or anything like that, but it's the flagship university, right?
Oh my gosh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, a lot of vandal pride here.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's great. It's awesome. So, this. Getting back to the podcast and like helping the kids and stuff. One of the things that I actually heard, I think it was within the new graduation requirements. I can't remember. The Department of Ed came through because just this last year and a half, within the last year and a half, and they, Superintendent Debbie Critchfield has spoken a lot about getting out of seat time for juniors and seniors, and they just recently updated the senior project, kind of like what that looks like, and then they've updated a few other things. And one of the things that I've heard, or like I've interpreted as a message from the Department of Ed, is that schools can there is some flexibility within like classes and or the senior project, to create experiences for kids that are geared towards what they're interested in, and figure out how we can get credit for those kids in that thing that they're interested in.
Yeah. And actually, since we've been open in Bennett Mountain, we've actually kind of been geared more that way. Again, alternative school, project-based learning. I'm going to say about 60% of my students have jobs.
Yeah.
So we've always had work-based credits, and so if kids are out, if they can show us a paycheck, we can give them elective credits for working. And it kind of falls under a career class component, right? College or career. And we've always been doing that already. I like the direction we're going with that. That's awesome. And our senior projects are actually based on like their work experience. So we kind of make it more individualized, where we want kids to be excited about what they're presenting in their project and their presentations, and also basically kind of get them geared ready for after high school, right? That, to me, that's the importance of the senior project. It's not just, I'm going to check this box to graduate. We want the kids leaving our school with a good understanding of, hey, I have resumes built, I have letters of references built, but this is my goal. This is the steps I'm going to take to reach that goal. And here's some experiences that I've had to lead into that goal. So yeah, I'm glad we're kind of making a change that way. So, and then the kind of the new piece of it is that media literacy piece that they're tying into, again, kind of works with the podcast and work on Instagram, social media, all that good stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. I remember why I was telling you about Lewiston, because I like got there and I thought, where have I gone with this?
Lewiston,
when I was on the board, I learned Lewiston has an alternative high school as well. Yeah. And one of the things that they did was build, they had like some type of shop class at the alternative high school. And it was, they were building sheds and garden
Garden boxes?
No, greenhouses. It was
Okay,
like
yeah, okay.
greenhouse.
Yep.
And so when I was doing a tour one day with board members, the principal there was like, "Hey, we build greenhouses, da 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 da." And I thought that's like super rad. And so, I bought a greenhouse. And again, it's not like a big money maker. They're doing it so they can pay for supplies
Right.
and, continue the program going. And your school does something similar with your greenhouse.
Yep.
Tell me about it, because that was really cool.
So we have an amazing science teacher. I'm going to throw her name, Angela Fish. No one poach her from me because, again, she's the best science teacher in
better be
Idaho.
careful. You better be careful.
Right. So she actually has a botany class. And again, with grant funds, we were able to purchase a greenhouse a couple of years ago. And so within this class, they obviously do plants. They do everything like that. And we always do a big plant sale at the end of the year. And we have a large Basque population in Mountain Home. And actually, we had a Basco come up to us and just be like, "Hey, you guys should grow these Basque peppers." Mm-hmm. And so the next thing you know, she's growing hundreds and hundreds of Basque peppers. And this is all students as well growing this. Mm-hmm. And every year we do a Basque pepper sale, and we've had people from 5 different counties to come buy Basque peppers from us. So it's really good for the students to get hands-on learning, and then obviously, and also learn a little bit about the Basque culture, thing like that, right, in our state. And then it's just cool to see that we're kind of unique in that we really focused on one thing to sell. Our Mountain Home High School does an amazing job. They have a huge greenhouse. It's much bigger than ours. Mm-hmm. Great CTE program, and they're doing hanging, baskets and everything like that we just can't compete with. So it's like we had to find our own little niche on like what can we do that no one else does, and it was the Basque peppers. So.
And what is a Basque pepper? Like, what does it look like?
It looks like just like a sweet pepper. Okay. People think they're hot. They're not hot. The big thing that the Basque culture, what they use them for is chorizos. So they kind of, I don't know the process behind it. Again, we grow it, we sell it, they buy it. So, but I guess a lot of it's used for chorizos. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was awesome. Like, as we were walking around, I was like, that's actually really rad.
Yeah.
Like, that was awesome. Another thing that you guys had was the STEM Center. Yeah. So what is the STEM Center for you guys, and how are your students using it to learn and improve their academic experience?
Yeah. And again, it's Angela Fish, right? She's kind of wears many hats in our building, but, again, in this old building, I think in one of the rooms you actually got to tour as well. Mm-hmm. We have a very, really cool, right now it's filled with 3D printers, right? We have about 8 3D printers in there. We have kind of augmented reality machines where you can learn, like if you do anatomy, I don't know how it works. You put glasses on, and you can look within a heart and everything like that. So again, all this was all because of grant funds. I feel like in the last couple of years, that's been my primary job as a principal is, writing, for getting these grants. And
so if any administrators around the state have questions about writing grants, they need to just send you
send them.
And there's no guaranteed return time on the email for that question.
There you go. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. So no, that's kind of the big thing is we're seeing a lot of kids really enjoying the 3D printing right now. Mm-hmm. And so we're actually going to add more 3D printers in there, but it's not just Angela's science classes that are utilizing this. She does like simple machine classes that do this. We do like cross-curricular. We have math teachers that, let's say, they're working on, how to build a house, and doing dimensions and things like that. So she goes in there and she's able to print things as well. So again, just in this old building, we have a very, I feel like I always call it the expensive room because there's just a lot of money in there, a lot of technology and you wouldn't think going into a 1926 building alternative school, right? So then it's kind of state of the art, and we're fortunate to have all that stuff. So,
yeah. So, and then you kind of mentioned at the beginning, but the daycare, why is that, why do you have it at the alternative high school, and how is it helping kids at the school? Yeah. Or even within the district?
Alternative schools have always been the place, I guess, to have, daycares for teen parents. And when we first opened, like I mentioned, is that we had high teen pregnancy in Mountain Home, and we had about 12 kids there. So we were able to get them through school, right? Like they had that daycare, they could drop their kids off to school. They could be at that school. They go down lunch and spend time with their kid. So it helped them get through school to graduate. 2020 kind of shifted things. And I don't know, it seemed like teen pregnancy went down, and all of a sudden we had all these spots. So we actually shifted to where in the last 6 years, we've maybe only had one teen parent use a daycare, but we have shifted to where our daycare is used by staff. So district staff bring their kids. We actually have 2 daycare providers now. We have up to about 15 to 20 kids in our daycare. And that's been awesome. And especially in Mountain Home, how do you compete with these other districts, like Boise, West Ada? Well, we offer daycare for staff. That's kind of our hiring and retention tool right there. So, but that's been great. And then we obviously work with the teacher schedule as well. And it's very, very affordable. As you know, daycare is not cheap at all.
No.
It's almost like you'll take a hit if you continue to work and put your kid in daycare. So a lot of people stop working.
Right.
Because it's cheaper. So,
yeah. I was really impressed just with the environment. And I think it's so cool. Someone was telling me, I can't remember what place they were talking about, but whatever they created, their goal was to I think they had wanted to build an elementary school near a high school because they wanted to give the high school kids an opportunity to go to the elementary and have that kind of teaching, to kind of experience teaching. And what I feel like is that at your alternative high school, you're integrating ways within your school to give kids real life experiences and opportunities so that they can learn in that project-based way and then be ready for, entering their own community in the workforce and, additional educational opportunities in college, whatever they choose moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think that's the most important thing is to get them, college or career ready. In my school, the reality, it's career ready. And, if you give them those opportunities, that's what they need. And the cool thing is we have Hacker Middle School next door to us as well. And so we do have opportunities where our students go over and help mentor kids over there. I think another big piece I need to add to this whole thing is that we have an excellent partnership with Mountain Home High School. So we don't have the CTE programs that they do, but our students are allowed to be involved in their CTE programs, extracurriculars, and things like that. And CTE is huge. You need that. I would love to be a school of CTE if I could, like Swan Falls and Kuna or something like that.
Right.
But Mountain Home High School, great partnership. And again, it allows our students to go over there and get them, career ready. So. Yeah.
So 2 more things I wanted to mention before we end the convo. One is the learning environment, because it's my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that you're having good academic successes in the incorporation of the community school strategy. True? True?
Yeah, very true. And it's no secret. I mean, what happens is it all starts with the staff, right? Again, my 12 staff members are amazing. They understand the mission of the school, the type of students we work with. And the most important thing is that they're going to build that relationship before any academic success is going to happen. So again, that's where the whole community school piece comes into play and the whole looking at students holistically versus just academically. And so it starts with them. Our class sizes are small. They're about 12 to 15 in the class. And we focus on less classes at a time. So we actually do a 4x4 block where they're only focusing on 4 classes every quarter, essentially. Most of the kids that come to us are credit deficient. So under that system, we can get kids caught up at a faster pace. Little things like we talked about, most of my kids are working. So we have a lot of flexibility in our schedule to where there's release periods where kids can go work, and they're supporting their own families and whatnot. So I think the big thing is that we can engage students. We want them, they're excited about coming to Bennett. And that's the goal, right? If you get them excited and coming every single day, that leads to academic success. So kind of the cool thing last spring, Idaho Ed News released that kind of achievement scores among all the schools. And we were in 122nd of all the schools, elementary up to high school in the state of Idaho. So here's an alternative school that's ranking there. Now, obviously, there's different success indicators that they look at, but the big thing for us is we have a very high graduation rate for an alternative school. And again, it's all about kids are excited to come. The families are excited that their kids are there, and the amazing staff is all because of that. So, yeah.
And what is your graduation rate?
We haven't got this last year's, but it went from like 75%. Now we're hitting about 90% every time.
I mean, I think the significance there, besides the fact that you've had a 15% improvement in your graduation rate, is that students who are attending the alternative high school are at-risk students for not completing school in some for whatever reason. And so what it sounds like is that you guys have created this space where you're collaborative and you're integrating the strategy, which is helping you be more collaborative and intentional in engaging with your community. And it's producing positive outcomes in a lot of spaces for kids, particularly academic and graduation rates. I mean, that's significant.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I think that's why we're there, right? And you look at it going, I mean, we graduate about 50 kids a year. We're not a huge school, obviously, but you look at that, and there's probably 40 of those kids that probably wouldn't have reached graduation status if we weren't there, and all these kids have different struggles, right? They all come with something different. Not that it's bad. They just have home life issues. They're stressed. A lot of them just don't like the larger environment. I have 4.0 students that just don't want to be in a class of 30 kids, right? So, and I'll go, one thing is that our school district and the school board, superintendent, district office, they're amazing, and they support what we do. A lot of alternative schools start under that model with 15 kids in the classroom. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're going to shove more kids. We're going to shove more kids. Next thing you know, they're just a normal school with 25, 30 kids in a classroom. So our district office, the board have been awesome in maintaining our mission on, we're not just going to fill this up. We're going to keep 15 kids in the classroom, and we're going to protect that environment because it's working. So, yeah.
I love that. I actually want to end and wrap around with your podcast one more time because, I mean, I'm biased. It's one of the things I do, which is host a show, very, very part-time. And it's so fun because I love meeting people like you and, just different Idahoans around the state that are doing really incredible things in their communities, whether that be like education or, like farming or city-led, whatever, state level. There are just a lot of incredible Idahoans out there. And so it brings me a lot of joy to be able to interact with them and meet them. And it gives me like hope as we move through, I think it's so important to have that. But your One Town, One Team podcast, you talk about messages just within Mountain Home. But I know one thing that districts deal with that's really hard, and even communities. I mean, this isn't like, let me step back. This is not a district issue. This is a community issue, like nationwide, where there are messages that are being shared that are not true, inaccurate. And it's like, how do you address the misinformation that is out there? And so you guys were having some type of, I don't know if it was like bond or levy, and there was misinformation in the community. So tell me what you did to address that.
Again, you go back to social media, there's always, every community probably has some kind of rants or raves, page, and there's always, when levies or bonds come around, right? Everyone's like, the district's just taking money from people, and what people don't realize is that obviously everyone's running levies in the state at this point. Right. We just don't have the funding. It's not supplemental. That word came out in the early 2000s, and I actually think it's totally misleading. It's how we survive now. Yeah. And that's the reality of that. And again, I love our state. I think we can make some changes on that. But until then, we've got to do what we can to survive, or else, we're not going to be able to fund schools. So, the superintendent, James Gilbert, Mountain Home, he set up a meeting with me, and we decided, let's go on a podcast. Let's create a video podcast so that we can start posting it on our own socials. And he sat with me for about 5 minutes discussing how the levy would impact us, what the levy entailed. And we just shared it on social media. Next thing you know, all the critics, everything like that, they went silent. So again, there wasn't any false narratives being made by these people. Like, people were like, if someone were to say something, someone that was obviously supportive of the levy would share this information, be like, hey, here's a video you need to watch. And they answered everyone's questions. So again, unfortunately, we live in that world where we're not going to always get around that. It doesn't mean that they changed their mind on which way they were going to vote, but at least we got the truth out there, right? So But my big thing for me in all of this is that a lot of people they want to wait for the cavalry to help them, and the reality is we are the cavalry. We've got to push forward. We've got to, write our own stories and get information out there to people so they know what the truth is. So yeah, this has been very impactful to have this podcast, but at all different levels, right? All the way from the superintendent to the students, the community members. I'm really excited about it. Again, I'm learning a lot about it, but I think it's very impactful and positive, and I would encourage other schools, and they're doing it. Other schools are having students start doing podcasting, but I think it's a great experience for students, and it can only benefit community if you do it right. So.
Yeah, I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So as you look at this next year and as you use this community school strategy at Bennett High, what do you see over this next year for your students and the larger school community?
The whole strategy is we're just going to continue to beef up what we're doing. Again, we've already had the stuff in place before we became a part of the network, right? So we just beef it up. I want more student involvement into it. I think the community is starting to, as you just over the years started exposing it to people are seeing it and people will be more involved. So it's just kind of, again, I'm all about students. I want more involvement from them. And a lot of times we think we know what students want, but they will tell you what they really want. So I'm just more excited about them being involved more to where I can actually step back a little bit more and let them run with things. So,
yeah. This last legislative session, I had an opportunity to work with Senator Dave Lent, who's on the eastern side of the state. And he's been doing this, having community meetings and town hall-ish kind of things with community members about their local neighborhood schools. And often what we find for people is there was a Gallup poll that came out last year that said when you ask people about how do you feel about education or whatever, public education, people are like, meh, I don't love it. And it's because they're thinking about this entity that's really far away, like on the national level for some reason or state level. But then when you ask people about their local school, they say, but I love my local school. I love my elementary, middle, high, whatever. Right. I love my local school. And so as Senator Lent has been having conversations, and he was telling me about it, one of the things that I took from the conversation was that the communities that feel most connected to their neighborhood schools are the communities who have integrated the community school strategy. And what I feel like I've heard from you today is that the intentionality of the perspective of bringing the community into the conversation, right? That advisory council of working with your team at your school and then integrating those students and kind of creating this whole big space for everyone to be. You're not just there getting kids through an assembly line. You're creating a school community where everyone feels connected. And that's what we need everywhere.
100%. I mean, there's no doubt that the local school is the heartbeat of the community, right? And being part of a community school in this ICCS is that it just strengthens that heartbeat. Like you said, it's not someone's just in a cog in a wheel. We're just graduating kids. That's all we're doing. It's how are we benefiting the community as well? Not only the students on helping them, we food pantry, for example, right? Every month we're giving out 200 to 250 boxes of food to the community to help them out. So it all becomes that one town, one team. We're all in this together. And if we can strengthen that partnership and that collaboration with the community, I just think they're going to look at schools differently. And again, there's a lot of good things going on in Mountain Home School District. And we have another, 3 years or 2 or 3 years left in this grant, but we're going to continue on after that as well. So very exciting though.
I love that. Stehvn, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish you all the best as you move forward into the school year, and particularly your One Town, One Team podcast. That's super awesome. And you've got Yam sitting behind you, right? Right?
Yoshi Asher Marshall right back there. Yeah.
There you go. So thanks so much for being on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Alexis. Have a good one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Purple Zone. Thanks for being here. If you liked what you heard, leave a review on your fave podcast app or on YouTube. And from me to you, the heart of The Purple Zone says community is where policy comes to life.